Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. We did it.
Episode 341.
Oh my gosh, is that where we're at? Well,
Yep.
this is the big one because we get to soak in our new life post preview card. We did it. We kept the secret.
Feels
We
good.
put out the video.
We got a preview card before, but our new listeners won't know that.
Yeah, Shadows over Innistrad was our last preview card. I mean, the thing about 341 episodes is that's a lot of years. 7 or 8.
Been around the
we've
block
going.
a few times.
There's no tread left on the tires. We're weeks away from quitting.
If this is your first episode, welcome, by the way. Thank you for watching our little preview video. My name is DJ. I have Corbin and Jason here to help guide you through the mystical world of magical finance while we trash talk each other a little bit. That's basically the synopsis of our episodes.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a pretty good summary there. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to break down some Finance 101 type stuff for newer listeners who might be listening. And then we're going to do some of our normal segments that are a lot of fun and help you find value in your collections. That's what we're all about here, is trying to make the game more affordable and easier for you to enjoy. So I'm Corbin. My background is you might have seen me around. I do a lot of coverage for Wizards. I'm the editor of Channel Fireball. I can announce that this week. That's pretty exciting news for me. I own 2 LGSs in Oklahoma, and I work for Overwatch League. So I do a lot of different esports related stuff and quite a bit of Magic. And DJ and Jason got pretty long resume as well. DJ, what's your background?
My background is in sitting in basements and picking out 10-cent cards a lot. I got started in Magic just grinding my way through bulk commons and uncommons collections, flipping cards to pay for my first card, to pay for high school, grad school, college.
Well, there was something else in there too, right? To help pay for college?
Oh, yes. I am one of the inaugural recipients of the Gamers Helping Gamers Scholarship. It is a charity created by John Finkel, Tim Ayton, Bob Mayer, and several other Magic players who are around twice my age. And I was one of the inaugural recipients for that scholarship, so I sort of used Magic entirely to help me pay for school. And then
And it's a good thing you did.
Well, I graduated in 2016 with a Studious Rigo degree, and then quickly realized I did not want to go down the traditional path of employment. And now I buy and sell Magic cards full time. I have a full time TCG player operation with these boxes you see here behind me. I am a GP vendor, so you can see me at most North American GPs working with 95 MTG. I'm one of their buyers and their social media manager, and I just sort of wear a lot of hats that involve around Magic. So.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jason's got quite a bit going on, but more importantly, Jason has a new second full-time job. Is that how it works? Does it stack directly like that?
So watching the first kid was a full-time job?
Yeah, that's what I was...
2 kids is
Yeah.
We populated. We brought another planeswalker onto the multiverse. Soren Edward Alt was born last week.
That's exciting, man. That's great.
Yep, and he's eating well.
I got the.
That's all he does right now. He just eats.
He's eating well. I made sure to steal the cutest picture off of Jason's Facebook of him and his kid, because Jason, for those of you who don't know, is a stand-up comedian, pretty funny, bit of a jerk, and yet I have
a photographic
proof.
There's our one
that he had a Tinder moment with his child.
Tinder moment? Jesus, Corbin, calm down.
Well, come on, what are you supposed to say, man? It was a very loving moment. It was very cute.
I didn't slide into my kid's DMs. He means to say tender, but he's from Oklahoma, so it comes out Tinder. Everything comes out Tinder.
Anyway, so congrats to Jason. That's pretty sweet. But what do you do for Magic?
I'm a writer for mtgprice.com and coolstuffinc.com, where I write the 75% EDH theory, which you may have heard of. I am also a member of this podcast and a podcast called Money Draft and another podcast called Director's Cut with John Dunning on the They Said We Said YouTube network that you should check out because it has nothing to do with Magic, so that's cool.
It is pretty cool, actually. I can vouch for that.
Yeah, it's crazy how 75% has become a colloquial term because people use that term with me at GPs.
Well, they use it incorrectly, but
Well, I mean, yes, I mean, some people sell their decks to me, and they're like, I'm like, oh yeah, what kind of deck do you have? What's your competitive power level? He's like, oh yeah, this one's 75%, or so. It's just nice to hear.
And like Corbin said, I'm a dad and stand-up comedian, and there aren't enough hours in the day to really do more than that. I sell at an LGS out of a case, and I occasionally will sell on eBay and TCG Player and Twitter. So check all of us out on Twitter. You'll have opportunities to win drawings and retweet our sales threads and just interact with us. So thank you so much for being new listeners. And hey, if you want to double down, go to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. For as little as 20 or 25 cents a month, you're going to have access to our Discord, where you can interact with people that have been listening to this podcast for a long time and see how disgruntled they are. And I'm drinking this beer out of this handsome drinking glass. That's one of the perks for our $20 a month patrons, which is $4 or $5 an episode. But we are ramping up what we are going to give the $20 patrons. We think that is
We've got some
a
ideas.
good level to be at. We've got some stuff in the pipe. So if you're not at that level because you're like, I got my glasses, and then it doesn't really make sense to maintain, we agree. So stuff's coming for the 20s, and people at 10 get access to the spreadsheet where on Monday night when we record this podcast, you will have our picks of the week and Breaking Bulk picks instantly.
Well, not everyone knows what that means. So
you'll find out later.
Yeah. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring back an old segment right here. We did this literally with episode 101 forever ago, but it's Finance 101. We've had some requests, and we also just realized that the listener base with podcasts, you have those people who listen forever. I mean, we've had people who've been listening since episode 1. It's wild, right?
Not even me.
Yeah, like I guess I'm the only episode 1 member left. Rip Ryan and Marcel. But we had a lot of requests to bring back Finance 101, so we're gonna do that. Then we're gonna do Breaking Bulk, where we tell you about cards that you may have thought were bulk that actually aren't. Pretty fun game.
Breaking Bulk is my domain where I get to make fun of Corbin for thinking that Alara Reborn was from 1994.
Hey,
I nailed everybody's pick last week, and nobody congratulated me.
I congratulated you.
All right, let's do Finance 101.
No one on the cast congratulated me.
Of course not. You didn't deserve it. All right. Finance 101. This week, we're going to start off with something pretty basic here. When people talk about the price of a card, seems pretty important on this podcast, seems pretty important, for everything that you do, right, in this game. But what does the price of a card actually mean? Because there's a million different prices. There's the market price, the medium price, the buy list price, the low price, the eBay price. What numbers should you use? So we're just going to break it down from the top here. So yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite articles I ever wrote for MTG Price back when I wrote for that website was regarding this topic, and it came out right before TCG Player announced market price. And I did a little back-end digging to understand why TCG Player had a low, medium, and high system. Because if you look at some of the metrics on TCG Player, there will be low price, medium price, high price. And those couple of those numbers seem kind of irrelevant because the low price is obviously the lowest listed available copy that you can purchase, near mint or lightly played, not including shipping. So if you look up Chroma's Memorial, there might be like a $14.99 TCG Player low, and then that's for like an LP copy with $1 shipping. And then the median price is if you count the number of listings for that card, it will take the median, the middle listing in terms of the quantity listed. So if there's 15 listings, it'll take the 7th or 8th one.
And for a lot of people,
go ahead.
A lot of people don't know that's a median, not a mean.
They think it's the average.
It's in the, you list all of them, and it's the one in the middle.
It is one of those listings, not a mean. And so the high price is obviously the highest price listed, which is where you can get some of those weird algorithms or misclicks or extra 0 decimal points where somebody accidentally types in a card at 1,000, or they do it just as a joke to list something at $9,500 or something like that. Right. But it's pretty irrelevant information. And so I learned that the history of that pricing system goes back to Scry Magazine and Inquest Magazine back when, before the internet days, when people used prices from magazines and monthly subscriptions that would come out, and you would learn the monthly price update of your cards. And the way that this magazine company would figure out how to price those cards is they would cold call stores. They would send out a large number of phone calls asking these local game stores, hey, what do you price Shivan Dragon at? What do you price Shivan Dragon at? What do you price Shivan Dragon at? What do you price Lotus at? What do you price Lotus at? And so they would acquire this large amount of data, and they would utilize that 3-point system of low, median, high as sort of we did our check work, and this is our show our work kind of thing. Of we checked more than one spot. We just did all of our work, and this is what we have, the data that we want to show you for our magazine subscription.
Well, that was doable back then because like Scry and Inquest came out monthly, so
Yeah, but
like you could be like, oh, we called a bunch of stores and like prices don't change up to the minute the way they do now.
Yes.
yeah,
So we were in Florida. Ryan and I, former cast member, Ryan and I were at a GP, and we found a store that was using Inquest prices, and we bought all the fourth edition stuff.
Wow.
Because he looked it up. He was like, Sylvan Library, that's $4,
Man.
and I was like, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, the point is, right, the pricing system that was in use for TCG Player for a long time, and TCG Player wasn't always a metric for card prices. People used to use Star City prices back in the day. That was kind of the gold standard. And then TCG Player came along, and there's actually an API that people could pull from, and everyone just got used to using the median. But when TCG Player rolled out the market price, I don't know what the deal is. I know that some sites, you can still pull the median, but the sites that use market price, MTG Stocks is our preferred one. We actually had the founder of the site on a couple weeks ago. If you want to go listen to that episode, we can put that link in the show notes even. But the market price is a much better metric because it is the actual X copies sold. And we don't know, I don't know if that number is 15 or 20 or 50 or whatever.
The number required to update market price is not public information, but it is a algorithm that determines the price of a card based on completed listings and sold copies. So that's one of the reasons if you look up high-end cards or sometimes cards that spiked recently, recently in the past couple weeks you might have looked up Cage Sun, and it said the market price was $4 or something, and the only available listed copies are for 14 or 15. That is because the market price has not updated its algorithm yet to include the copies that have sold at 13 or 14 or 15. So sometimes market price can be a little inaccurate just based on very specific outlier circumstances. Like, for example, the Power 9 don't exactly move on TCG Player very often. So Mox Sapphire might be off of its market price versus the actual what is considered to be the market price universally, not just TCG Player's market price, but the TCG market price might be off by a few $100s just because they might sell one piece of power on the website every few months. I don't have that information, but obviously that kind of stuff doesn't really move on the website very often. So
right. So
issues with market price.
The other thing you can look at with it though is if a card spikes and the median is, let's say, $15, but the market price is still only $5 and it doesn't move, then that tells you that no one's buying the card at the new price, and that's really relevant information that you wouldn't always have. So, the point is...
Sometimes if you, like, look at aggregates or something like that, we do median and not mean because some lunatic could just list a $3 card for $1,000 and then the average is like 17, and they're like, oh, I guess these are 17 now. But in reality, they're 3, so that's why... So
the issue is... all of these numbers that we're explaining to you have some sort of problems, but market price is the most accurate, the most useful. It's what we all base our pricing on.
A combination of market price and lowest available listing is generally, I think, the most correct algorithm, because if you are somebody looking to purchase a recently spiked card, let's say you do want a Fist of Suns for your Morphon deck and you want it now, the market price might only be might not be updated and only say $5, but if every available copy you can find is just 14, then probably 12 or 13 is a reasonable price for that card because you can't find them for 5 anymore. It's gone.
You just have to go to the website. You have to verify everything that a scraper reports, because some scrapers, as much as they update every day or twice a day sometimes, they might not have gotten the latest update. Stuff moves real fast because when inventory sells out, the price changes on the basis of all the $4 copies sold, but the $16 copies are still up.
And
so you do need to verify everything you get from a site, even one that's pretty accurate, like MTG stuff.
Okay.
And I was going to throw one more thing in there, Corbin.
Go ahead.
The number of Magic players that are out there purchasing cards based on new information is much higher than I think most players want to believe or think that there are.
Well, or just realize, right? It's just hard to think about,
It is just hard to quantify a million Magic players in your head, hitting F5 and hitting refresh on spoilers, and then when they see some new blue-green snow legend that I'm crossing my fingers and hoping is in this set, there will be a lot of cards moving very quickly. Within minutes or hours, within 2 hours, the most obvious cards for that deck will be gone. The certain niche linchpin, like when Feather got previewed, Sunforger was gone within an hour. that kind of thing. And it's not just one person filling a cart and then immediately spending $10,000. It is a million people all spending $10.
And one of the things that I think really demonstrates that very well is TCG Player publishes an article with the top selling cards this week or whatever. And
yes,
you will not guess what they are, because they are not the cards that move the most in price. They're casual stuff. So, but what happens is when you see a spike, say a commander is spoiled and a bunch of stuff spikes, or something spikes big and people cry buyout or whatever, right? But then you go look at that TCG Player article and you see, no, people were building this feather deck. There just happened to be fewer copies of that card than others, and that's why this price moved. So I think people, they see the demand side and they don't always see the supply side. So let's bring it back down. Let's wrap this all up. The takeaway here is that if you really want the best price, you have to put in some work. But as a guide, market price is generally your best bet. The one other thing we want to touch on is the buy list price. And this matters if you're trying to sell your cards. And if you're just an individual trying to sell your cards on a platform on the internet, or just over, your friend group or whatever, right? The buy list price is what a store will pay you for your cards. We have talked a lot about the different places here. Card Kingdom does it. TCG Player has a buy list. Channel Fireball has a pretty competitive one. Those are the
stores that GPs have.
Right. If you can get to places, that's a very good idea. Yep. If you can get to events. So that number is really the baseline of a card. And what it means is if you are trying to sell your card to another player or to a store, you should not expect that you're working with the retail number, right? That buy list number is really what locks in the value of a card on the secondary market.
Because it's the highest current offer that's publicly available.
Right. So that's just useful when you're trying to just kind of, figure out the value of a card and what you can really expect for it, and move on from there. So that's Finance 101 for the week. Let us know if you have any questions, or if you like the segment and you want some more of it and you have ideas. Let us know. I think we've got a big list of ideas somewhere. So it's kind of a question of how deep we want to go.
Email to send those questions and suggestions to is brainstormbrew@gmail.com. It will be in the show notes.
All right, so let's move on.
But if you have access to the Discord, because you go to patreon.com/brainstormbrewery and give us $1, which is, such a small amount of money, you can tell us in the Discord and we'll absolutely add it to the spreadsheet that way.
There is a podcast feedback channel.
The Discord is pretty fun, actually. I'll say that. We have a lot of interaction. We have a lot of patrons.
85% of your posts are in the politics channel.
Hey man, that's not true.
And you don't have fun in there.
Nah, man, I love having friendly discussions about politics.
Climate change is a false flag.
We're joking, everybody. All right, let's move on to Breaking Bulk. So here's what we're gonna do with this. So we're going to choose a card.
Some dude that's listened to 350 episodes.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody.
They listen to it for us. They could listen to an ASMR episode of Brainstorm Brewery and they'd be fine with it. They don't care.
Or they could pay us $20 and have access to the after hours where the stuff that doesn't make the cast ends up.
The after hours is always fun.
Somebody on Twitter told me not to pitch the Patreon a ton when we think there are new listeners, and I'm rebelling hard against that.
I see that you are. They might be right though. So sorry, new listeners. Jason is literally a child in that when you tell him not to do something, he will immediately do it.
That's not true. You told me not to use any racial slurs in this podcast, and I never have. I wasn't gonna, but I still haven't. And I feel like apparently I should get credit.
And yet now we all question that. We didn't question it before. You said something. Okay, man.
I'm not the one who uses racial slurs, all right?
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
He didn't say anyone else did. He just said he's not the one that does.
I'm not the one that does.
You took it to a weird place, buddy. I'm going to take it back to Breaking Bulk.
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
This is where we choose a card in secret from a set, and try to get our co-hosts or guests when they're on to guess what it is. And the hook is that it's a card that people give us in bulk all the time when we buy collections. We all do that. We all love
playing the game explains the game.
Well, just on that, before we get into this, the reason bulk matters and why you should care about this stuff is it doesn't seem like a big deal. It's like, oh, my 5-cent card's worth 20 cents. But I'm telling, we see this all the time. People do not understand how much value they have sitting in boxes, and they say they can't afford to do something, and they lose $100 because they didn't sort their stuff. Like,
everybody has a play set of Badlands worth of bulk. Every Magic player that's been played for 5 years or more has a play set of Badlands worth of bulk.
To do at GPs is I'll be working behind the booth as a buyer, and somebody will walk up right next to the cases where I'm sitting. They'll be like, "Oh, that's a really good price on Tropical Island, but I don't have it. I don't have much trade stuff." And I'll be like, "Give me the Fat Pack box." And then every single one of these boxes, every single one, has one Panharmonicon, 2 Torment of Hailfires, a Razaketh.
Yeah, we're just up to like $40 already, $50
a Heroic
casually.
Intervention. Just every casual card that never saw play in Standard in the past 2 years, and I'm like, there's 5, there's 4, there's 4, there's 4, there's 5. Okay, we're getting there.
Yep. And it's people, and you may think, oh, I know what's a thing, I know what's going on, but look, Magic's a big game, and you probably don't live it like we do.
There are 30,000 cards. You are not at fault for not knowing every.
There's a million different formats you can play. Prices are all over the place, so it can be hard, but if you put in the work, you can get a lot out of it, because people come into my store all the time, and it's the same thing. They want something, I just say, let me into your binder, man. Just let me into it, and we'll see what happens, right? And they're so scared and intimidated, I guess, that, oh, what if I don't have anything the store wants, then I'll feel like crap.
They're like, what is the 6'3" Cyclops asking for my binder?
That's the thing. If you trade with another player, a player wants what they want. If you trade with someone like us, we want everything.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing.
I will
there's
eat
just
your
always
entire
stuff there.
binder if that's what you want.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Let's play the game. Who wants to go first?
I will
go
go
first.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were saying that whether we were going first and not just what our pick was. Go ahead, DJ. Guests first.
I have a Magic Origins rare, and
And it's bulk?
I mean, people think it's bulk. It's
Jason
$1.
Sanctum.
No. I don't want to say the color because that'll give it away. We normally these are commons or uncommons.
Animist Awakening.
Jason Sanctum was a good guess. So, anyways, what's the color?
It is a rare, and it is it has
Oh yeah, cool.
It has a gold symbol.
it has some significance to a preview card from Modern Horizons
Oh
this
my
past
god,
week.
I don't care.
Planeswalkers.
Planeswalkers, flip stuff. That's Magic Origins. Mainlands. I'm just thinking my way through this.
It's not
set.
Animist Awakening?
It's okay, you guys have thrown some guesses. It's black.
Is that the Tutor set? Spell Mastery set?
That is the Spell
That's
Mastery
just
set.
Spell
My card
Mastery.
is not Dark Petition.
Okay.
Priest of the Blood Right?
Nope.
Isn't Dark Petition a mythic?
It's a
No, it's a rare. You're thinking
wow.
of Dark Pact or Demonic Pact.
Yeah, your Demonic Pact.
I don't know, DJ. What's the answer? Oh, is it Tainted Remedy?
Is
It is Tainted Remedy. Corbin got it.
Oh. What
Tainted Remedy
relevance
is
is that?
approximately $1 TCG market price. It buy lists for approximately 50 cents. So if you bring it to me at a GP, I will probably pay $1 on it, just because that card is somewhat hard to find. And this is just another card that gets lost in the shuffle. It's in that Fat Pack box, and people just throw it away. Never thought about it. Oh crap! I opened a Tainted Remedy. It's just going in the bulk box forever. I'll pay $1, sometimes $2 on this card.
Yep.
And it's just instead of your opponent gaining a life, they lose it. Some people are horrible people, and they play this in their main deck in Commander, and then they watch the Lycia player suffer and change their deck forever. That happened to a friend of mine who was like,
No, the sands are about to shift back.
yeah, I'm playing Daxo Stacks. Here's turn 3 Tainted Remedy. And my friend who just built his Lycia deck is like, come on, man.
That's pretty good.
So, yeah, this is just the somewhat relevance to Modern Horizons is because I don't think this combo is good at all exactly, but it just puts this card a little bit higher on the visibility spectrum, is the red enchantment that gains your opponent's 10.
Uh-huh.
So there's a red enchantment.
Aria of Flame.
Thank you, Jason, for actually knowing the card name, because I did not.
Well, I looked it up because I don't remember card names. Anyone who's listening to this podcast knows that's the thing I'm
Yeah,
the worst
so
at.
Aria of Flame gains each of your opponent's 10 life when it comes into play, but then you start a stacking spell, sort of what's the card? Sphinx Bone Wand. Whenever you play instant or sorcery, you start pinging them for 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, and then things get really...
It gets verse counters, so you should play anything with any red burn spell that has Proliferate.
Speaking of Commander,
Oh, I didn't know it got. Yeah,
Speaking of Commander, I don't think we mentioned this at the top. Jason, you have a little bit. Did you even talk about EDH Rec?
No. So I'm the content manager on EDH Rec. So if you like the fact that there is a podcast and articles and soon to be merch on EDH Rec, that's 100% my doing.
All I'm saying is that it seemed relevant because a lot of what we talk about with Commander, you have to understand, Jason is so deep into it, both on looking at it from the financial end, but also he's so tied into Commander that his word on these cards is very rarely wrong as to what's getting pushed. So I just
because I have a tendency to wait to get EDH Rec data to see what people are actually playing and not what they said they were playing.
Exactly, it backs it up.
Because if you
numbers.
listen to people, what they say, they're like, "Oh, I can't wait for a green or white black cleric legend," and then Ailey comes out, and I bought a bunch of clerics, and everyone's like, "Just kidding, Ailey's a Loro type deck," and I was like, I'm never listening to what people say ever again. I'm just going to listen to what they do. And if you like that, go to EDH Rec. We have what people are actually building. We scrape from Archidect and MTG Goldfish and deck stats. And when people build their decks, we aggregate all the data and be like, well, 85% of the people that are building this Aria Flame deck are also playing Tainted Remedy. So maybe those two cards are correlated. You'll be able to see that kind of stuff. And it's recommendations for how to build your deck. If you I want to build Urza Lord Artificer, but I'm overwhelmed. What are other people doing? You
may be net decking Commander, but I won't lie, the data is incredibly useful, and it's a really nice site to browse when I'm building my own decks. So,
and it's also good to know what other people are playing, so you know what to be prepared for. You don't have to net deck, but you should know what other people are going to be throwing.
That's true. That's true. All right, so next up, I'm going to give you guys. I have a black uncommon from Aether Revolt.
Aether Revolt. Which? Oh man.
Gifted Aetherborn.
It is gifted Aetherborn. So.
Oh, the.
It's pretty easy. The vampire
non-flight hawk.
It's pretty easy to forget that this card existed now that it's rotated out of standard, and whatever, right? But people have Aether Revolt bulk, and gifted Aetherborn is $1.50, $1.75 actually market price, right? You're going to get $1 on a buy list for this. You probably have a play set or more.
Yep. I was pulling these out of draft chaff. People just would draft and they would just leave all their crap on the table for the store to clean up. And
card's actually good at 2 mana is the sweet spot. It's really, honestly, it's playable in a non-zero number of modern decks as well, because those 2 abilities and the power toughness on it are
This is another card good. I pay $1 on at GPs.
Yeah, this card's great.
I will happily pay you $1 for every gifted Aetherborn you bring up to me.
And I bet if you buy a collection from someone who played during that era and is pretending they're quitting only to buy back in a year, they probably have at least 5 or 6 of these. Yep. And that's $6 just padding the bulk rate you paid on their collection.
Yeah. All right, Jason, what's yours?
Okay, I have a card that has been printed 2 times. It is a white enchantment, and the first time it was printed, we'll give it away. It was printed once in a Ravnica set and once in a Commander set.
Pariah? No, that's Conspiracy.
That was originally printed in Urza's Saga. Urza's Gears for Corbin.
That's correct.
Was Pariah really printed in Urza's block first?
Yeah. Pariah was in the precon. I bought that white and black precon because it had worship, and I wanted worship for my deck, so I bought copies of the precon. That was pre-eBay. So I ended up with a bunch of Pariahs because I wanted the worship, and I bought 4 copies of that deck.
White enchantment originally printed in
a Ravnica set.
Sure, a Ravnica set.
One of the many Ravnica sets, which I guess
Spirit Safety.
Good guess. Spirit Safety is it. I get these in bulk all the time, and they are $3 on some sites. This is just if you are building a Ghostly Prison propaganda Norn's Annex wall, this just gets really huge. If you have this in Ghostly Prison, it costs a lot to attack you. Just with those 2. But if you throw in stuff like Utopia Sprawl and Wild Growth and all kind of crap like that, it suddenly becomes so much mana to attack you, the token players can't get there. You got Beastmaster Ascension, but do you have 13 mana to attack with 2 creatures? Well, it'd have to be an even number. Well, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? You have 14 mana, you have 16 mana. Sphere Safety is a $3 card, and I get these in bulk all the time, and that's not correct. The fact that it was in a Commander set, Commander 2016, I don't know. I guess people are just like, this is crap, whatever. They pulled all the rares out. So don't bulk this out. It is not bulk. It is worth 70 times the bulk rate.
All right,
Here we go.
All right, so let's move on real quick. Let's talk about the new exciting stuff. Modern Horizons has got a lot of cards out
You
here.
mean Commander Masters, Corbin? I hate
pretty
this
much.
set.
Pretty much. I'm so hyped for this set.
Howdy, pout, pout. No Modern Mythics.
I don't know what's going to happen to Modern with this set. It's really hard to tell because they're just throwing so many things.
Yeah, because we're not pro players.
Well, I mean, even a pro player.
There's somebody out there, but there's somebody out there right now who's spent the past 45 hours this week, grinding and testing and building, and if you're not doing that, maybe hold off on.
Yeah, they're just throwing so much at the format. This isn't like.
Jerry T. thinks Urza's modern playable, but hey, guy
it is.
Went 3-1 at F&M. I'd love to hear your opinions at the LGS.
This set's going to be fascinating because it's not the typical. Even when there's big changes to Modern, Fatal Push is printed. How's that going to impact it? Let's find out. This isn't even like that because there's 10 Fatal Pushes, right? There's just
more than that.
Yeah. There's just so many cards that are going to hit the format in one way or another. And
they really reprint Future Sight again. God damn it.
The thing is,
it was already legal in Modern.
I don't
No,
even.
it wasn't.
No, I don't think it was.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was. Future Sight was already legal in Modern because everything after Mirrodin. And Future Sight was in the Time Spiral block.
Okay.
Future Sight's a set.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
making a pun.
Were you?
Yeah.
Okay. I want my space plane.
Anyway,
she's some lady in a nebula or galaxy, or she's some anime-esque
She's in the astral plane, you idiot. How stupid are you?
I want this plane to exist.
It's a plane, not a plane. It's a plane.
You mean
It's
a
not
plane?
a plane.
Yeah, she's on a plane.
No, she's on a plane.
Yes, a plane.
Not a plane.
you guys are the worst. You two you're just the worst. I even tried to let you go for a minute. No, it's just too much, man. It's too much. Look, this set is going to be crazy.
I want my rocket ship magic card equipments, my rocket ship vehicles. I want my my meteor, my Star of Extinction reprint.
Look, I will tell you that
I want Astro Cornucopia.
Some of this I'm happy with. There are really cool cards here. This set's going to be great.
Dead of Winter is sick.
It's going to be. I think we're seeing boxes go for what, $220 right now.
200 to 220.
Yeah, that's. I believe the cost from distributors is $160 to stores, so that makes sense on this. But honestly, there's so much good stuff here for so long. I want as much of this as I can get, and we'll see how much they print. But there's just so many cards that are going to hit Modern in one way or another. It's the biggest shakeup the format has ever had.
This is the best master set ever, and they're like, we're not going to do master sets, and we're like, man, that was a really good reprint avenue that they lost. And I'm like, no, we're not doing master sets.
Well, it's helpful when they can.
We're going to do a $6
cards.
booster pack set that's going to have $40 EDH staples.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
I'll tell you, I'm a little worried about Unearth and Modern with Death Shadow, but that's neither.
I'm really worried about it with Snapcaster Mage setting up a loop that doesn't do anything.
Well, it brings back your Death Shadow. Unearth is seriously good in that deck. Cycling plus, it's going to be nice. But I was hoping for some Merfolk. We're not there yet, unfortunately. But I'll tell you,
they want to put cards in this set that are good.
The cycle. Perfect. Well, here's the thing: the cycle of the Horizon lands, the Horizon Canopy cycle, those go in a bunch of decks in Modern.
These are very good.
I like how there are just
so
4 color combinations that will never get them.
Yeah.
But speaking of we'll never get them, everyone thought we would never get a preview card, and we actually got 5. We
got
the
of
talisman
them.
Talismans.
So if you go to our
Pretty
YouTube page, which you should do anyway, it's Brainstorm Brewery, youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery. We made a fun little video announcing these cards, and you can subscribe to our podcast episodes. And even if you don't want to watch on YouTube, just give us a thumbs up on every episode or a thumbs down. That counts as engagement.
What else
Thank
should
you
they?
so much.
What else should they do, Jason?
Well, you see that little bell icon tempting you?
I've seen it before.
Yeah. Well, after you like and subscribe, You go over to that seductive little bell icon and just finger blast it into oblivion.
Oh,
That'll give you a notification every time we print up a new video, which isn't necessarily an episode of the podcast. It could be something cool like
A video where we announce these.
That is the verbiage that we have chosen to stick to for the past 200 episodes as to how to.
It could be a brain bite, which is a thing we do occasionally where we talk about a topic that could be a segment on this podcast, but we go way in depth. I did a good one on what alternate 4th edition is and how to identify it. DJ's done some. Corbin doesn't really contribute to this podcast. And
I lit my chair on fire. You can also find a video of that.
So we do some fun, wacky stuff. So check out our YouTube page, even if you would prefer to listen to this podcast because you're at your job.
All right, so we've got a lot of Modern Horizons. We're gonna have a set review next week. We're lining up hopefully some guests. That'll be pretty fun to have on. So come back next week. We'll have the Horizon set review. And what we do is when we look at these set reviews, the way we work at them is we aren't trying to tell you what cards are going to make the best deck better, or it's going to do this and it's going to create this deck. We're just trying to give you the case for the cards financially and have some visibility on the formats outside of the future of competitive Modern, which is the $1 million question, right? So it'll be a lot of fun next week. But let's wrap up this week with our final segment, Pick of the Week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
So I want to point out this is one of those things where we very rarely, very, very rarely, if ever, actually buy our own picks. We explained at the top of the show what we all do. Honestly, it is more work than it is worth for any of us to go try to make $50 or $100 by speculating on cards, because it doesn't always work out and it's a lot of extra work, and we all have actual avenues for selling Magic cards. But the situation's a lot different if you're that player at home trying to finish their deck and you're $100 short, right? So that's kind of what we aim at here. A couple weeks ago I picked, as an example, Trash for Treasure, just because I noticed that the graph was starting to creep up on it, and we'd seen some hints at artifacts, and just, it looked like a card that the price movement, despite no hype, whatever, it just looked like it was running low and that players were wanting it. And we try to take that extra work and stay a step ahead so that you can stay a step ahead. And now Trash for Treasure, a couple weeks later, it's not like I said it and then it went up. It took a month or whatever, right? A month and a half, but the signs were there and it did eventually pop.
Don't apologize for the concept of MTG finance to people who are listening to
I'm simply explaining. All right, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
One of our listeners actually picked my pick in the Discord already. They did some learning and they figured out, well, they identified it as a potential card to see more increased demand in the next few weeks. And like I said earlier, I am banking on a blue-green Snow Legend. Get it? Get it?
Yes.
Get it, Corbin?
Got it, buddy.
You see, because snow sometimes ends up in these drifts, these large, like dome-type shaped things called drifts, and that's the result of the wind blowing the snow and it accumulating.
Yep. This is a really weird card. It's only ever seen print in Ice Age, as snow cards do. But it is
not even Cold Snap. We're talking 96 Ice Age, baby. When I started, back when we paid 4 mana for a 2/3 and we liked it.
Okay.
This is a 3-mana artifact, and we've all seen Constant Mists go up. We've all seen various fog effects be very popular. Angus Mackenzie is one of the most I think the most expensive commander you can build, the most expensive legendary creature to exist. So fogs are fun, and this is 2 mana. Generic, sacrifice a snow-covered land to have all creatures deal no combat damage this turn. This is Sunstone. The art's really weird. It's just this Buddha-looking thing with a bunch of flowers everywhere. There's no snow anywhere on the artwork that I can see.
Because the Sunstone is melting the snow, you stupid idiot.
Yep.
I'm sorry for yelling.
But this is just a card where if we get some sort of blue-green Snow Legend, there's going to be a lot of player demand for snow decks. I mean,
look, man, look at the price graph of Altar of Bone, that just on the basis of the announcement of Tiny Leaders as a format no one played. But Altar of Bones went from bulk to like a couple of bucks just on that basis. And Altar of Bone's not good. If Altar of Bone, which is not good, can go up, Sunstone, on the basis of like being able to fog people when you have an extra impetus to run Snowlands, extra get thereable. And it's colorless, it can go in any deck unlike Altar of Bones, which only goes in white
Yes,
green.
so players have been. I mean, this is a set where they have just packed it full of legendary creatures that people have been clamoring for, right? Like we finally got our Changeling commander. We finally got a more interesting. We got Urza and Yawgmoth. We got Sisay. We got just so many.
Lightning Skelemental. I've been sending Gavin Verhey. I was like, hey man, what about Bulb Lightning? And he's like, we're not going to call it Bulb Lightning. And I was like, I thought that meant they would never print the card, but they did. Lightning Skelemental.
Yeah, so I mean, there's one more Mythic slot. We have seen 14 Mythics. I believe there are 15 Mythics in the set, so there is room for this Abominable Snowman Mythic blue. Maybe it'll be Jason's Simic neck commander that he'll play for 2 weeks, then hate. So.
All right.
Because it'll be too good.
On a blue-green Snow Legend, even if it doesn't show up, I think that there might be demand for this card. I mean, it's a 30-cent Ice Age card. Worst case scenario, you buy 8 or 10 of them from one seller that happens to have them all, and then you just throw it in a box for the next time they revisit Snow.
All right.
But this podcast doesn't have the power to make that card go up. We would need a bigger YouTube platform for that, where we'd be like, hey, speculators are running Magic.
All right, I'm going to follow up on DJ's because my pick's sort of similar, but I think this card, if we do get that legend, will go up because of what it's been doing. But if we don't get that legend and people still want to build that deck, it could be the go-to. So Eric Smithy's Slumbering Isle.
Eric Smithy's?
Eric
it's probably
Eric
Eric
Smithy's?
Smithy's.
Eric Smithy's? I've actually.
It sounds like there's a dude named Eric's and he's like got a bunch of Mythies left in his
I think
garage.
it's funny. I think one person's ever played this deck against me, and that's how they pronounce it. So that's how I pronounce it.
But they're from Oklahoma, so
yeah, fair. All right, so the card is $7. It's from Commander 2018. We see a lot of time with these Commander decks. They're good and reasonably affordable for the first year. Then they just pop, right? And the good stuff keeps going. So this card is going to be good in those blue-green decks. It's a pretty neat card on its own. It's $7 now, all-time high basically since release weekend. So probably heading to at least 10. And who knows if it catches on in some sort of new hype thing, it'll be 15. But regardless, if you had your eye on it, it's not going to be $7 for terribly longer.
I think that deck has the most potential of cards to pop. It's got Bear Umbra, it's got a bunch of enchant lands, it's got 3 relevant legends, I think, because you build the deck 3 completely different ways.
And which one is it, Jason, for people who don't know?
The blue green white Enchantress one. I don't know.
Oh yeah, with Estrid's Invocation as well.
I don't know the name of cards. You think I'm going to know the name of deck? It's the one with Estrid. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Estrid's a good commander. Eric Smithy's is a good commander, and Tuvasa's a good commander.
Yeah. And Estrid's Invocation.
It's also
is
got
in that one.
Yeah, it's got Estrid's Invocation. It's got Bear Umbra, which was a card before. Yep. Like I think if every card that was like $6-7 before it got reprinted goes back to $6-7, that's like a $60 deck.
I'll point out while we're on the subject, it's odd to me how cheap Lord Windgrace is. That card is powerful.
Well, that deck is bad, and like Windgrace's Judgment, like should be taking up a lot of the slack because like the deck's not got a lot of good stuff in it. But like Windgrace's Judgment, I think is still too cheap.
Okay, there you go. All right, Jay.
I actually have an Enchantress base pick myself.
Okay.
The new card Hall of Heliod's Generosity is a card that would go in your Tuvasa or Estrid, or not necessarily a Rick Smithy's deck. But you know the Enchantress stuff you're building. I actually had a Rubinia Soulsinger Enchantress deck that was based on like drawing cards off of playing like treachery effects and stealing their stuff, which I thought was fun. And then they printed Estrid, and I went, oh boy. So my friend was watching me get this card out of my graveyard with Starfield and Nyx every turn and getting a new enchantment. He's just like, this is the worst. And now I have more than one way to do that because Starfield is a little bit of a liability, unlike Hall of Heliod's Generosity, which is basically
a really bad card name.
Well, yeah, it's not a great card, but it's basically a cycle of pay a colorless and a colored to put target blank card type on top of your library. If
Ruins.
Yep. And now it's this one, and Hall of Heliod's Generosity is going to put Sterling Grove on top of your deck, so you can search for a new enchantment. You know, so all other enchantments you control can't be the target of spells or abilities, which is really useful because you need that kind of effect when people are, blowing up all your stuff. But then you can sacrifice it, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal that card, shuffle your library, and put that card on top of it. So you're tutoring, and you have a ton of ways in Enchantress to just draw the card the turn you throw it on top with Sterling Grove. And then you get Sterling Grove back with Hall. Oh man, what could be better? So I kind of think Sterling Grove, which popped to about $20 on the basis of the Estra deck being spoiled, and then like has gone back down on the basis of everyone like building Estra deck and being like, I want to cheat in EDH, and this is too fair.
Basically.
Sterling Grove has $20 trajectory, and the fact that it spiked once already means that there are going to be no $3 copies in an old binder at your LGS. All the copies are concentrated in the hands of dealers, which means you have no choice but to pay retail, and that's going to spike the card's price higher and faster. I bet it peaks at 25.
Wow.
But
all right.
Who knows?
Well,
who knows?
There you go, everybody. So, if you enjoyed the episode, I promise we're trying to keep it a little chill this week, not give people too much. We usually have it gets pretty mean. We have a lot of fun. There's good memes are had. So, if you enjoyed the information's always there, but we tried to keep out as many in jokes as we could this week. So, apologies to everyone else if you missed them. We'll be back next week, everyone. This is Brainstorm Brewery. I'm Corbin Hostler. DJ, Jason with me. We'll see you next week.
Oh!